everybody, welcome to Avalon Dreaming. This is going to be my first video in a little segment, the mechanics of the being. So we'll start with the mechanics of the lower mind. I would recommend that you watch this on a bigger screen, just so you can see what's going on. Probably a bit small on your phone or something like that, but maybe on an iPad or a desktop or a laptop or something like that. It'll probably be a lot easier for you to see what's going on. Okay, so I guess most of us on some level all understand what the ego mind is. And this is sort of my visual representation of how I see it. So after my awakening, I have this crazy, wonderful, amazing awakening through nature, really. It guided me through this journey and still does. That was just crazy in itself. So through my download and my experiences, this is one of the first lessons that came to me, because as I shifted completely out of my lower mind like that in one big bang, really, pretty much, I started to connect to nature, and it just sort of happened organically. And these are one of the first lessons that came to me about the lower mind, and yeah, it just helped give me reference for my human, for what was actually happening to me and what I was going through. And this is how I saw it, this was my perspective, and this is how I taught myself, basically. My higher self taught my lower self, just so I can understand what was happening to me. And this gave me a reference. So basically all these videos they're all concepts. You know, on one level, you know, it's all just nothing, and you give meaning. You're the ones that give meaning to everything. But, so, you know, it's all just concepts. But these concepts, we live in a conceptual world. So these concepts can help, because they help me. And there's many amazing concepts and teachings and pathways out there that really help expand your consciousness. And basically that's what this is. So these are concepts to give you some sort of framework, some sort of reference point for your human, for yourself, for your experience. Let's begin. Okay, so the mechanics of the lower or ego or physical mind. Different words with the same meaning, or same meanings from different levels, different meanings from different levels. Yeah, so this is pretty much the third and the fourth density, dimension, preferred density. Yeah, so fear operates more from that third density, and love, the loving part of yourself, is operating more from the fifth density, or well, it is from the fourth density, sorry. So let's begin. The lower mind, the physical mind, or the ego mind, can be categorized into two parts: love and fear. That's the duality we all face, the energy choices we have, good and bad, right and wrong. Okay, so love and fear, duality, energy choices. I was going to say something else, but I forgot. Just wait, let it go. So the lower mind is made up of love and fear. Oh, what I was going to say actually, if you imagine a big spectrum. I know we've got lots of emotions, but we're trying to simplify things here, so we can understand, so we can actually grasp these things in the ego self, in the lower mind, so we're teaching ourselves, you know. So if you imagine a spectrum, we've all got many emotions, but if you imagine a spectrum of love and fear, or fear and love and fear, doesn't really matter which side, okay, and your positive emotions can be categorized in the loving section, and the negative emotions can be categorized into the fear section. So you get the gist. So love and fear, duality, that's the duality we face. So your conditionings, your labels, your concepts, your beliefs, is your identity, is your personality construct. Okay, so what you think and what you feel and how you emote and react and all that, you know, stems from your beliefs and your conditionings and what makes you you. So that's your identity, your ID entity. These are your veils, your filters, your lenses that you operate from and you see through. It's the I am person with wants, needs, and desires. See, at this level of awareness, you are limited, contracted. You are unaware of your higher self or your higher consciousness. The thinker. So this part, this ego mind, this part is the thinker. It's the critic, the monkey mind. So many words, so many different words for the same thing. Third density. Fear to the fourth density of love. So, and your experiences that you have in your life, on your journey, your esoteric experiences, you weigh out those experiences, your drug-taking experiences that actually shift you into a higher mind. It's not just because you're high. Well, it is. You're high. You're in your high mind. But you know, these really help to take you out of the fear section into the love part of your mind. Sometimes it can reinforce the fear section. You know what I mean? Depends. We'll get to that later. So embodiment and anchoring of the lessons and realization. So that's the most important thing for all levels, really. So let's look at the mind over here. So you understand that these are the sort of way the mind operates, okay? The way the lower mind operates. So here you are, here's a little guy down here, okay? The physical body. You can call it the pain body, the dense body, the lower body, the lower self. Okay, so it operates with 5 senses. You know your 5 senses, you know what I mean? But it's the basic function. You don't really consciously use your senses. They're there. You know, when was the last time you consciously really took a breath through your nose and smelt? Actually smelt the air. Smell your surroundings, you know. So it's in this way we as we progress, these things start expanding. Your chakras, your auric field, you know, it's unutilized, it's unrealized, it's unrealized as potential. You know they're sort of there, you've heard about chakras, you sort of know you've got an auric field, you think, you don't really know what it is, you don't know how they function, you've heard about Reiki, you know, so operates from your lower 3 chakras. So that is the normal person, pretty much. That's how we all run around. So imagine this little human, here he is, down here, or her, with this chakra, this auric field going on, it doesn't really understand what it is, it's not even aware of it. Imagine these little thought bubbles, and this is like just for visualization purposes, obviously. So this is your mind here, okay? So you got the love section, so all the loving thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and conditionings, and concepts, and identities, and labels, and so all the positive, loving memories and experiences would go in this section. And then the same with the fear, operating from a fear, from a negative perspective, from a fear-based, from limited thoughts, feelings, and emotions. So we can put them in this section. And along this scale is your level of attachment and identifications. Okay, so let's start from the beginning, I guess. So when you were born into this world, I guess children operate more from higher mind, but that will be the next video when we shift into the higher mind. But you begin with a clean slate. Here's your mind. There's really no identification. You know what I mean? You don't know. You just are. You're just being. You're just complete beingness until as you start growing up, you're a little baby, you get taught the language, you get taught all the conditionings, they slowly get put into you so you can function in this reality, in this physical reality. So, and learn the rules and all that sort of stuff. So these start forming conditionings in you. So I guess people always say it's nice to have positive and condition your child in a positive, loving manner so they form, a positive identity of themselves. Because remember, so this makes up your identity. This is who we think we are. Okay, this is the thinking mind, remember? So throughout your life, as you're a little kid, when you're a little child, so as you're forming your beliefs, you're getting conditioned, you're getting the labels and the concepts, tree, dog, cat, food, mummy, daddy, we learn the labels, learn the concepts. So, and then as you develop, you can start to piece together more things, and things that happen to you in your life can be sort of categorized into these two sections of your mind. So you can say, if you have a really loving, your first amazing experiences with your mummy, and there's joy and there's love and there's happiness. So I think for most kids it's like that. So we form a nice big identity here. Loving mummy love, parents, you're good parents, you love your parents, you know what I mean? So there you go, you've got your little identity, children act out of this place because they're innocent, they're just pure, they're just beingness, and then their first of conditionings are normally from a love of love, they form loving patterns and beliefs until something bad happens to them, or something scary, and then they decide to put it in this section of their mind. So let's see. So for me, I have to be honest and truthful, for me, my own experience, if I look back, and this came from a high awareness, and also help from my mother, and implementing and putting good conditionings in me from a young age, and teaching me, because she was on her own spiritual path, and so that obviously helped me and influenced me in my life, whether I knew it or not. So I was sort of raised with some really good conditionings. But anyway, my first bad one, I guess, or limiting belief, would be of my father. So one of the first memories I have of him is a negative, well, I would categorize it in negative. It was him fighting with mum, and then I don't want to go through it, but he tried to, it was just an abusive sort of moment, well, for all in that house. So that formed a big chunk there. Okay, so then over time, what starts to happen is you start recreating these things. So this, because of the way my dad treated me or smacked me or got drunk or any of these sort of things, it just started repeating and just got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and started reflecting in other ways in my life where I guess I felt my dad didn't love me, so then I didn't love myself, and then that sort of perpetuating these patterns that just got bigger and bigger and bigger. So daddy issues was up to there now, okay? But then it sort of stems off in your life into all these weaves, all these other problems and all these other shit that goes on in us. They all stem from a root cause. So the same happens with the love. So the loving ones get reinforced as well. You're actually manifesting and creating this, whether you realize it or not. So the same thing happens. More loving experiences, and that sort of trickles out as well. So you you can see how your mind starts getting clogged up pretty soon. And then, throughout your life, and these will just manifest into the own other things. So then you get picked on at school, you don't like the colour of your skin, which was true for me. These are the things that I went through. So then it will just sort of drop down, make another one, drop down, make another one. And it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then you're 30 or 40 and you're a fucking mess. You don't know what's going on. You're so trapped in here. And of course the same happens up here, drops down, makes another one, makes these lovely, so you kind of, hopefully you get my gist. So this is how our mind and we become conditioned over time. So as a child, you're empty, but look at you now. You're a teenager, an adult, and here you are believing all these things, that I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough, because of something that happened all the way so far in the past, or in the present, in the now, really. But you don't even realize why you're behaving like this, why you're acting out, why you're like this, because there's all these things, there's all these problems that have happened that have you that will make you locked into your identity. So people on this path, people on the spiritual path, the seekers, people that consciously try to expand their consciousness, those people, this is for you. All this is for you. It's for everybody, but it's for you. So those people, these conscious people, you guys, work to clear out this portion of your mind, of yourself. Right. I know I did, to some degree. I had a mum who was on her own journey, and she had her books and her friends and her methods that she passed on. And I thought she was crazy, to be honest, when I was young. I thought she was full of crap. And now I'm like, oh my God, you were right. But, so, the conscious people, the seekers, the ones that are on this journey, they consciously try to remove these issues. But in the beginning, it's all the surface stuff. Why am I a control freak? Why do I feel guilty all the time? Why am I like this? Why? There's so many whys, And it takes honesty and courage and vulnerability to really start looking at yourself. No one wants to look here, because the thing is, when you start looking at these traumas, these pains, these abuse, these things that happened to us when we were young, it's hard. It brings up the emotions. But the emotions become a power once you can release all the identity. So this is what we're working on. So these people, you guys, us, the one, work to cleanse ourselves, to purify ourselves. But in order to do that, there must be self-honesty, self-reflection, self-counsel, to look within and to see what makes you tick, so to speak. So there's many exercises that you can do that can really start erasing some of these issues. So there's my daddy issue gone down. So some of the exercises, there are many out there, but one that mum told me to do was put the person, this is back in the 80s, put my dad or the issue or the situation or scenario in a violet pink bubble of love and send that scenario or the person away. Just imagine them floating up and disappearing with love, unconditional love, and just imagine them just vanishing off into the distance so you can't see them anymore. And so it's these kind of exercises, and there's meditation, there's so many out there, breathing, breath work, but really at the end of the day, there has to be a pure, genuine desire from yourself to discover yourself, to look within, to look at all this shit, really. So for me, I always had this, I wouldn't say a conscious seeking path. I wasn't like some people that read all the books or watched any of the videos or did any sort of thing like that. For me, it was just trying to be the best person I could be. And I just wanted to do, I just said to myself, I'll do whatever I want, when I want, without hurting anybody else. So that was kind of my little motto for myself, be the best version of myself and do what I want, when I want, without hurting anyone else. So when I did discover Bashar, he was like, follow your heart's excitement without any expectations on the outcome. And I was like, oh my God, that's what I've kind of been doing my whole life, but just not consciously. So there has to be that desire from within yourself to sort of be the best person you can be, or fix yourself. Because it's so easy to get trapped and you just keep playing out your old conditionings, labels, concepts, because that's your identity. You know, so someone says something to you, someone says, oh, so what do you think about this? What do you think about this scenario? And you have to go through, let me think, thinking. Okay, you have to go through your love filters, your lenses of love. Okay, there's opinion, oh, yeah, blah, 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 blah. Then it has to go through all your filters of fear, until you can form an opinion, because that's how we operate. We're stuck in here. This is who we are. It's very different when there's nothing there. Knowings just drop in. Knowings can drop in from your higher mind, but you can't hear it because you're too busy worrying about, thinking about, whatever. So that's why it's imperative to really clean all of this out. But first, we want to clear this, the fear, the lower mind, the negative, the limited ego mind, that part of the ego mind, the third density part. We are shifting into a fourth density, loving part of ourselves, the loving part of our mind. So, as you start doing the exercises, doing the work, you'll start being because sometimes you don't even know, you can't even see the root cause because there's so much shit, because it's just built and built and built since you were a child. So you have to erase all that first. And then you can start seeing a bit more of the truth. From why do you feel guilty to why am I a control freak, or whatever it may be for why am I sad, why am I depressed, what is doing this to me? It's imperative that you really look within. And there are many tools out there. So as you start doing that work, you'll start getting closer and closer and closer to the root problem. And then as you start doing this, your load, your baggage, so to speak, will start getting lighter. You will automatically start feeling happier and more loving because you've got less baggage, less fear, less limiting beliefs, less conditionings weighing you down. Less blame, less guilt. But you have to do the self-work. You have to look within. You really do. So, doing the work, here we are. As you start clearing out your limited beliefs and looking within, understanding what makes you tick, doing meditations will help get you the clarity to be honest enough with yourself and to get a perspective to be able to see what's going on. Because from this perspective, you can't see anything, you're trapped in here. So you need to raise your vibration, so to speak, raise your awareness, and through meditation or nature, or just being still and having a bit of silence from here, so you can get a higher perspective to then be able to be more of the witness, the observer, and look at yourself, so to speak, and be honest enough to find the connections and fix yourself and heal yourself by doing this inner work. So also this mind, right, it is the fight or flight mind. Back when we were cavemen and cavewomen, it was useful, right? The fight or flight response. The bear's coming, you run. You know what to run. Fire, hot, burns your body. You know, your body is in danger, your physical body's in danger. It's your physical mind to protect your physical body, you know. And nowadays, we've removed all those threats to our body, mostly. And so this mind operates through the fight or flight response still, because it's the physical mind. But you know, you get an email coming through, it triggers that. You get someone sort of yelling at your face, someone beeping the horn, someone, every little thing just starts triggering this fight or flight response. And it puts you in this state and locked in to this sort of state of sort of panic or just, you know, unease. You're going up and down, up and down, up and down. And disease, you know, and then, you know, obviously that just manifests down to your body through your chakras. You're not aware, it goes in through your auric field to your chakras and then manifests as dis-ease, you know. So that's why it's imperative to do this work and really clear yourself out. But from this level, we're not even aware of any of this going on. You need to do the meditation to allow yourself to raise your frequency, raise your vibration, to be able to observe and see clearly what's going on. And this is the duality mind, the duality of the polarities of love and fear, the constant battle, the good and bad, the angel and the devil, heaven and hell. You know, only two choices. Wow. Yeah, so it keeps you trapped in that cycle, in that panic state, in that fight or flight kind of state. So as we do the work, we might have some transcendental experience and profound experiences that make us realize, oh God, it's not my fault, that, you know, and or you take the responsibility for whatever needs to be taken, and you start erasing these. Because having beliefs and conditionings in this part of your mind from the fear perspective, or a negative belief or a negative thought pattern, having constantly thinking about that and bringing that up, or having that root issue that isn't cleared, it will constantly cause that to manifest in your life, because what's within reflects on the outside. So it just keeps reinforcing, these things just keep reinforcing. So if you don't really erase or dissolve or bring light, so to speak, to these limiting beliefs, they will keep perpetuating itself over and over and over again. And this is the trap that we're stuck in, but not anymore, because people are awakening, people are shifting out of this mind into a more loving. The majority of Earth, of the people, are shifting into fourth density awareness, which is the loving and understanding part of themselves. They're still a separate identity, they still believe that they're separate, but they're operating from more of a loving part of themselves, where they've got more empathy, they understand that they put themselves in other people's positions a bit more often, they have more compassion, and the things that they start creating, because they naturally feel, and their thoughts, feelings and emotions reside in the loving portion of their mind, they manifest from this level, and their life just starts to flow, and things just naturally, organically get better. But for some people that have an awakening, they get blown out of here completely, straight into higher mind, or straight, you know, to the stratosphere, so to speak. Hi everybody, welcome back. I changed my top because I was hot. So let's begin. So a few other things that I want to get through. This is the mechanics of the lower mind, the ego mind, the physical mind. I prefer physical mind because it goes with the physical body. So When you're a child, you have a blank slate, as I sort of was talking about in the beginning. That's why, you know, a child can pick up a piece of glass, or I mean, not glass, hopefully not glass, grass, or a twig, or a leaf, and just be so enamored and in awe of it. Because it is just pure being. It is just going, whoa, what is this? And then we go, oh, it's a leaf, it's grass, it's a twig. And they go, ah, there we go, one more, an identity. It's a tree, it's a twig, it's a grass, it's a, you know. So this builds up all these identities, labels, concepts. You know, conceptual life. We live in a conceptual world. So here they all are, tree, grass, car, dog, cat, you know, mum, dad, all that sort of stuff. But in the beginning, you know, your kid can play with, you see children playing with the cardboard box, having the time of their life. Like, you don't need fancy toys or anything when there is no real identification going on, because everything is magical and all beautiful and equal, you know, because it just is. The experience itself is awe-inspiring. Just look at the face of a child, you know. Oh, gosh. So, yeah. Because why it is magical to really get all identity out of this area of yourself is because then you shift into higher mind, where your world really opens up. You become your higher self. So let's just go back to where we were before. You have cleared out all your limited beliefs from yourself by doing the work, by doing the self-work. And remember, when you do the visualization techniques in your imagination, and you imagine these things and you do these healings and stuff like that, they're very helpful, they really are. But it also needs to be implemented then into your life and embodied. That's the embodiment and the anchoring of the lessons and realizations that you've gained throughout your journey. Because a lot of the time we know all these things in our mind, but we don't really do them. We don't really embody them. You know, we all know, but do we actually do it? No, we don't. But that's because there is still these big identities, big attachments in your life. So throughout the journey, you get rid of them. So say your daddy issues, you don't blame yourself for the death of your best friend or your brother or your sister or your mother or anyone. You have done the self-work, you've cleared those issues, you've understood those traumas, you've forgiven yourself, you've forgiven them. Ho'oponopono is amazing. Look it up on YouTube. It's 4 statements. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. We'll get into that a little bit later in another video, but there's go on YouTube and have a look and type it in. It's an amazing Hawaiian healing modality that my cousin showed me or told me about, and then I googled and had a look and YouTubed, and I've shared it with all my friends and family, and they've been having amazing results with it. So it's an amazing technique, an amazing tool that you can use that will help you clear out these issues. So honesty is of the utmost importance, honesty with self. So I hope this kind of gives you some sort of reference to how the mind operates, how the lower mind that we're also identified with, how that operates. So this is the way I see it. Hopefully it will be helpful for you. As I said, the little humans down there, this is your little thinking bubble. Your mind is basically made up of these two polarities, which, control our life. So these limiting beliefs, they sculpt us. They sculpt the way we think, the way we are, our whole world. Because it's from your mind that you manifest. You manifest what you want. And if you've got these big identifications, these big pains, these big issues, so to speak, in your fear section of your mind, you identify with your limiting beliefs, the things that hold you back, that limit you, that limit your growth, then you're never going to grow. You're going to go round and round. So let's just say you have cleared that out, and now you're in this part of yourself. So also remember, as you shift, as you clear out your fear, you will shift into a fourth density. So you will start manifesting and living from this part of yourself. But you're still locked into identity. You haven't really shifted up into higher mind yet. Meditations and stuff will be a lot easier because you'll be able to go here very quick, very easy. And for you, at this level of awareness, at the third and fourth dimension density level of awareness, your love and fear mind, once you shift more into a loving, more of yourself resides in the loving portion of yourself, your thoughts, feelings and emotions come and are based in this loving, positive, fourth density level of awareness within your own mind, things start getting better for you. You start manifesting and creating from there. But once you start clearing out this, then you can really start shifting into the higher mind. And so there are many concepts and teachings out there. So at this level, your chakras are not really aware of them, but as you start shifting out, and if you're on this journey, obviously, if you're up to this part of yourself, and if you're one of those seekers, those spiritual mystics that really love this sort of stuff and have a natural inclination and fascination, even, philosophers, it's spiritual philosophy. So if these are sort of your interests, you want to seek the truth, basically, of how things work and how you work and how you tick. This is the journey. This is really the journey of expanding our consciousness. So as we do that, as we clear ourselves out, you will find that you will still have identity in the loving part. So that could be your partners, your mum, your dad, your dog, your job, whatever, something that you love, that you're attached to. It's only family and friends and work and money and all these sort of weird things. So, and wonderful, beautiful things. And so this still keeps you locked in to a separate identity, although it may be loving and positive and joyful and happy. It will still always be self-identity. You will know that you'll have knowings and understandings that you are all, that it is one consciousness that operates through all these vehicles, all these vessels for consciousness, conduits for consciousness, conduits for the one mind, the one awareness, through plants, animals, trees, minerals, through everything. You are living within yourself, layer upon layer, depth upon depth. So these sort of insights and experiences, first-hand experiences, start happening in high mind. But, from this level, you still, when you meditate, you jump up to this higher mind. This will feel, from this level, this will be your expanded state, your way out there. Meditative experiences will be happening on this level. But we'll go into that on the next video. So some concepts that have been laid down before me and that I guess I never really knew of these as much as, say, my mother did, who read a lot of books on chakras and rainbow body and rainbow bridge and the Merkaba and all these sort of things, which I didn't really have any knowledge of it. So after I had my awakening, so to speak, my big shift in consciousness, my big shift in perception, in my own awareness, I had these crazy experiences and all these amazing things were happening to me, but I had no reference point. And so looking down from this higher perspective, looking down into myself and seeing what labels and everything I had there, I had to make something work. So some of the concepts and labels and beliefs and identities and stuff are from pathways and concepts that work, that are tried, and like things like chakras in your auric field. These are pathways that have been left, that have been there for centuries. This is ancient knowledge. Maybe a new, unique perspective or take on it to help for the modern day man, so to speak, on this journey. So as we go into the Rainbow Bridge and me telling you about this through my own experience, some of these concepts are borrowed from other people, so hopefully it makes sense, because it makes sense to me. So as you start shifting, and to get to the higher mind, to really anchor in to that part of yourself, the higher mind, which knows its spirit, which knows it is all that is, and it also knows it's operating through this vehicle. So it's that midpoint for you to really function. If you can function from there, the world and life gets amazing. You're like a walking, talking meditation. It's like you're in that meditative state. That stillness is just there within you always. And you're not here looking up to yourself. You're your higher self, connecting down and connecting up. So you're in that perfect midpoint. And this doesn't operate from love or fear. It operates from divine masculine, divine feminine. These energy choices start coming into being from this awareness. But for now, if you're still identifying here, you'll have a lovely, beautiful life, but this identity will still keep you trapped. So you still might get triggered, or these things still might reflect on other people, even though they're loving and positive. It's still an identity that you have to protect. I'm a good mother. I'm a loving person. I'm this. I'm that. So there's still an identity there. I love my son. I have to be a good father. I have to whatever the story or narrative you're telling yourself. There's a story or narrative. That's the point. You're identifying with the story or narrative. So as you clear these out and start, and through your experiences, so creating more stillness within yourself, if you're like this, your mind's already quite still. You know what I mean? It's these negative limiting beliefs that really keep you sort of anchored down into this ego, physical mind perspective. You get stuck in that. But if there's more love, because the loving part of yourself is in alignment with your higher self. So the flow, the channel is a lot clearer. You've already got love. It doesn't have to go through any fear. It's just going through love. So the love connects you to your higher self. It's in alignment with who you really are. So that's why they say positive thinking. Yeah, but it's not that easy. You have to, do the self-counsel, do the work, and really see what makes you tick, and fucking heal yourself from the inside out. So in my experience, what seems to happen, or the way I see it now, it is like however you lose this identification, whether it's through an awakening or a huge shift, because that's what normally happens. Like you'll have to be, I guess, to get to even this level of just having identification in the loving part of yourself, that's a pretty fucking long journey just in itself. But that's achievable for most of us, and that's happening. We're all shifting to that. Most people are loving, good people. Yes, we've got a few quirks and a few fucking issues here and there, but they're not major. You know what I mean? If we just did a bit of self-work and just a bit of honest reflection, we will get here. We will. We're nearly here. We're here. We're actually here. We're just the humans. Some of us are catching up. So this is why all this information is coming out. So just to get here, fucking congratulations, stay here. Because you can reform this, you know what I mean? You can make another fucking negative experience can happen to you, and then you can deem it negative instead of looking at it as a lesson, as something that you can learn, and then you won't form a limiting belief. You'll go, oh no, this so-called limiting belief is actually a learning, and therefore it's actually not limiting me, it's expanding me. So we are transmuters. We transmutate negative into positive. That's what we do. We clear the negative and we shift into the positive. And the positive aligns with our higher self. So as you do this work, as you do this, and normally you will lose this identification, because this is quite hard, because it's loving and it's a positive edification, but still it holds you back. So this is only for the rare few that really take this next leap. I know you're out there, you're the ones probably watching this video. So this is for you, as I said before. Okay, so normally an awakening, a shift, a huge jump in perception, in consciousness, in awareness, will shift you into the higher mind. And when this happened for me, when I really started anchoring into this part of myself, and I've seen it with other people as well, but just in my own experience, so it can be whatever, you know, they're all just concepts. If it works, take it. If it doesn't, leave it. But it's tricky because there's so many ways I can say it. There's so many different ways that it's coming through. So I just have to try and find a way that makes sense to the majority. Okay, so as your awareness shifts, so you have a crazy experience and it just shifts you out of that. It could be, however, through meditation, through a trauma, a near-death experience, a sickness, just a huge wake-up call, partner leaving you, drug-taking experience. It doesn't always have to be negative. But it normally takes, a lot of the times it's a big crash in someone's life that makes them go whoop, and shift. A lot of people that have all this, or so much deep, dark identification with here, sometimes have the biggest shifts because at that stage they've got nothing to lose, so they surrender and it just goes whoop, and they just go up. Like Eckhart Tolle, I think, or something like that, he tried to commit suicide. But anyway, that's his story. So something like that can really help. So whatever the means is that helps you, that causes you to shift in your perception, in your awareness, in your consciousness, you may start noticing, and I've got this video on this, rainbows everywhere. Because it's the rainbow body, because what's actually happened, to get to this level, you have balanced your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, your 7 chakras. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, your crown chakra is in the high mind. So, the colours of the rainbow, the chakras, are all the colours of the rainbow. That's the rainbow bridge. You may start seeing in your reality, just because these are the signs. Because as you shift into here, these weird things start happening. Because, you know, as you shift up, you might realise, oh, I'm not my lower mind, I'm a limited thoughts, and these are all just concepts and constructs these are labels that we just tell ourselves. And you realise, oh, I'm not that. And you can start to feel the oneness with everything else. Because from this level, you see that we're all one. Because everyone has this, the mind, body, spirit sort of complex running through them. Well, that's how we operate. We're these vehicles. So everyone's got this sort of system, this matrix, their own little matrix going on, their own little universe. And things reflect. But from a higher mind perspective, we're all the same. It's all one higher mind. But you've got your own identity. Your higher mind is your own sort of higher mind soul, you could say, identity. But it knows it's everything else, so you were connected to all. when you really anchored in, this will become an experience and a realization for you. So many experiences could happen, but I'm just sharing some of mine. And so as my own awareness shifted, and for you too, you might start noticing rainbows to tell you, to signify that you are climbing your awareness, you were getting your light body phase, you were going into a high awareness, your chakras, your 7 chakras have been balanced and cleared and cleansed, and now you're expanding into a higher consciousness. Hence the rainbow bridge. You might start seeing rainbows everywhere, in reality rainbow colours, just rainbows may start popping up to signify that you're crossing the rainbow bridge into your higher mind. Whether or not you anchor there is another story. So from this perception, things start to get cool, wonderful, and crazy. But for a while, this is a transition. So you might have, say, just saying you have a big awakening and then you come back down and then you still have, your attachment to your family and your partner, or your job. So say you've got 2, right? So what will happen, you're still a wonderful person, everything's going well, but every now and again you have a few dramas going on because it's still identification, you're still holding on to a part of yourself. But through your experience, you cleared one of them, but then you've come back down into your lower mind awareness, your physical body awareness, because if you haven't truly cleared out, you might have a big shift up to here, last months or weeks or whatever. But if you don't really do the work, you will always anchor back down and rest into this awareness. You won't live up here. You'll have amazing experiences, your experiences will get more full on, but you won't live in this place. Your meditations will be great, experiences, you'll be a lot more connected, you'll be a lot more aligned, just naturally your life will be harmonious most of the time. But there's still an identity, there's still an attachment. So it's very freeing compared to having anything here, but you will never truly, you can't reside here. You can't shift all your awareness into your higher mind. You'll still be looking up, so to speak, to your higher mind because your identity is here. So that's why it's imperative. So even after you have your awakening, after you have your shift, you have to do the self-work. It's a lot easier. It's a lot easier because it's so easy. You can just shift up to here anytime. You become, this is the observer, the watcher, right? You can shift up to this awareness anytime. Well, maybe not anytime, but a lot easier, a lot more often. And from this awareness, through meditations or through being still, connecting with nature, it will help give you a higher perspective. You can't fix yourself from here when you're trapped in here. You have to have a vantage point and sort of look down upon your little self and be like, oh, okay, I see you. And and there's this teaching, learning going on. You know what I mean? You're teaching your lower self. So this really needs to take place for you to consciously clear these out. Because doing it consciously gives you a greater understanding, greater depth to your experience. Remember, these are all lessons. Lighten up. It's enlightenment. It's supposed to be fun. It only can be once you get rid of these, the feared ones. So it starts getting more fun. So you do the work. You clear it out. Then, once this happens, you've crossed over, so to speak, into your own higher mind. You've crossed the rainbow bridge. You've done that work from your higher consciousness, from your own higher consciousness, from your higher self, from your soul fragment. And you've done the work. Congratulations. for those of you. And you're now residing over here. This is where your awareness starts to expand. The more you reside there, the more it will expand. But for a while, if you have, just say you've got one there, you got rid of one, you got one there, you will have this up and down effect. Okay, up and down. So you'll be having an amazing week, you'll be flying high and everything, then something will trigger you and it will bring you back down. And you might even accidentally form a negative one for a while. But it's a lot easier because you've got this high awareness that these aren't even really that deep anymore. They might be momentary. You know what I mean? So it's a very light belief momentarily before you go and clear it. That's why honesty and truth and being honest and truthful with yourself, you can clear things in the spot, work in the now. Something comes up, address it right there and then, so it doesn't have time to seep down into your auric field, into your chakras, and cause any disease or diseases or dis-ease for yourself. So, for a lot of people on this journey, a lot of conscious people are doing the work, it's very hard to shift out of here. It really is, completely. It's not too bad to come to this bit, but to lose identification with yourself completely, I would say is quite difficult. That desire, that seeker needs to be there for you to really want it. For you to really do the self-work, for you to really look within. Because that's the only way. There's no way around it. There's no real escape. Because even if you jump up to there, right, and you haven't cleared all this out, it will always bring you back, and you'll never fully anchor. You'll never have the transcendent, the cool experiences, and you won't be able to really ground and anchor and assimilate the knowledge, because when the knowledge or the revelations or the realizations from your meditations are coming through, they have to go through your conditionings. So by the time they go through all your conditionings and come out the mouth down here, and you speak it out, or even you think it, so you get amazing realization, and then as you wake up from your meditation, it's there for a few seconds, or a few minutes, and then it just sort of disappears. You feel it fading, you're trying to hang on, you can't, because it's going through your veils, your lenses. So by the time it sort of seeps down into your awareness, really locks in, it's already convoluted at best. It's distorted. Yeah, so imperative to do this work, to clear it out. It's worth it, because it's magical, okay? Imagine this, because remember I told you, this is a child that sees the wonder and the awe and the magic in the world. You just look at a child's face and you can see it. You can see that beauty, that innocence, that awe in every little thing they do, and their pure joy. Imagine being like that as an adult, having that ability, that freedom within yourself. Being like a child, like a spirit, like pure beingness, but with adult wisdom. Because what ultimately happens, you have a loosely based identity. Some may set a very loosely based identity that gives them somewhere to anchor into or to ground into. Because once you lose all your concepts, the world really changes. But imagine it's like you're a child, but you're still a functioning human. You know what I mean? You've lived your whole life. you've still got an ego mind per se. You've still got a physical mind. Doesn't mean you lose your mind. Well, you can't lose. You do lose your mind. You lose your ego. You lose your identification with your ego mind, with your physical mind. But it is still a tool. It becomes a tool, right? The ego death and everything. Yes, it can be scary because of course it's hanging on because it's its identity. You know, you believe that is you, all your limited stuff. But once that is dissolved or integrated into yourself, and you understand this, things really begin to change because your awareness starts shifting up into this place, and you have the childlike innocence and awe within you, and the magic of the world starts to unfold. And you find yourself staring at a bloody leaf or a rock like you're on acid, but you're completely sober. You know what I mean? Or like you come out of a big meditation or a sauna experience or holotropic breathing or whatever the bloody hell you're doing and you're loving. You know what I mean? So it really becomes amazing and magical. But you really need to clear all this out. So I think that is pretty much it for the lower mind. I'll give you some things that are coming up next in the next video in higher mind. So as you shift to that awareness, you will start becoming, because as you're transitioning, so even if you're still identifying a little bit, just say, and you're doing the work, you're still doing the work, and you're looking at all yourself, and you're looking at what makes you tick, and you're really clearing yourself out, so you're a conscious clear mirror, so to speak. Well, that would be that stage, that's further along actually. You will start becoming more aware that, well, this starts reflecting, the lower mind is a tool, you know, we're all tool, aren't we? The lower mind, the ego is a tool, it really is. But it really becomes a tool, you can see it for that, because your emotions and your thoughts and your feelings have power, and that's what makes us amazing and powerful beings, but it's out of whack, we're not in control of it, we're out of balance, so we're all out of balance, so we're coming more into alignment, back into balance with ourselves, through the heart chakra, through our love, realizing this, you know, coming from your fear, like releasing your fears is releasing all the identity and the density and balancing the third lower chakras, and then as you come into your heart, into your loving section of your mind, you're operating through more of the heart space, more of your heart chakra space. And then as you really start ascending in awareness, you start activating all your other chakras, and once all your other chakras have been activated and experientially, and you learn and you anchor and you ground and you go through this cycle of going up and up and up, the spiral of light, so to speak, you start crossing the rainbow bridge into higher mind. And then from this perspective, your chakras and your auric field and these things start becoming a part of your everyday experience and your life, because as your awareness starts to shift more and more out of your lower mind identity, you need tools to help you navigate and read your environment and your surroundings and your chakras and your auric field and even your five senses. Your whole human being, in fact, is a vessel. And just like in your car, how you have aircon and windscreen wipers and seat heaters and, you know, radio, all these different tools, so does your vehicle. So does your human vehicle, and all these amazing abilities and tools that we have, so to speak, aren't utilized. They're not utilizing this awareness because we're so caught up, just trapped in our mind. We're not even conscious of the senses completely, all the chakras. So as your awareness starts to expand and increase, these start becoming real life experiences, and through these experiences and through the clarity of mind, because your mind is still, remember, through that stillness, what comes through, it just comes straight down. It doesn't have to go through anything. It just comes straight from higher mind. You might have very loosely based filters, nothing in fear, just to give it a flavor, just to use your energy choices of the higher mind, which is divine masculine, divine feminine, you know what I mean, and your lower mind, it just operates through love. So these are some of the perceptions, the levels of awareness, and the things that will start opening up to you from this awareness. But first, you need to do the work. Because for a while, a lot of people will just jump up and down, up and down, up and down. And they'll have a wonderful life, but something will always bring them back down. And a lot of people just live like this. But for those of you that really want to keep on going, keep on expanding, and keep on evolving and just discovering and deepening yourself and learning more and more about the truth of our existence and ourselves, all the other me's. Let's join me in the next video. Higher mind. And what opens up to you in higher mind. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it's helpful. I love you and I thank you. And I will see you in the next video. So thank you all the me's. Thank you for helping.